Nintendo has done it once again with amazing me with the story of The Legend of Zelda. And this Zelda game that I'm talking about, it may not be something that would blow me away like Ocarina of Time originally did, or the amazing graphics and amazing story gameplay that Twilight Princess was, but this game was just so amazing that I had to talk about it. It's an amazing side story to Tears of the Kingdom, and what I want to talk about is just how much fun I had with playing The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Winter has finally arrived to my little hometown of Pleasant View, Utah. We've been having nothing to do but shovel snow, or me, when I'm not shoveling snow, I'm going to my actual job. But when it's just doing nothing but snowing and on my days off, I'm doing nothing but playing Age of Imprisonment. And I have to say, I'm not complaining about it because Age of Imprisonment was amazing. This is their third Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors game. The first one, the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, we don't talk about that because I feel like the very first one was just like they're taking all these different characters from these different Zelda games and just a mix mash, like King Dodongo with Zant, or Ganondorf with Midna, or he is with Midna, or whatever character from past Zelda games. They just mashed those all together, and honestly, the only good thing about the Definitive Edition was that freaking intro with Sia. Also, we got that scene with Midna punching Sia in the face. That always makes me laugh. But other than that, the Definitive Edition of Hyrule Warriors was a horrible game. Just terrible. Then, after Breath of the Wild, we got what was going to be the prequel for it, supposedly, which was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which I actually made 2 whole videos on that, just how much fun I had playing that. So much fun with the time twist in the gameplay, how you get to play it as those different chosen heroes through the game, like Urbosa and Daruk and Rivali. The champions, that's what it is. It's so much fun playing as those, and with the twist in history so they can play with their ancestors. It's a really fun game. But enough talking about that. Let's get right into Age of Imprisonment, because that's what this whole video is about. So, the Age of Imprisonment, I guess it's not technically a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, or a prequel. Well, I guess it may be a prequel, because what happens that it starts off with Zelda, a recap of how Zelda gets teleported to the past. How you know how her and Link are in the bottom of Hyrule Castle, exploring the catacombs, seeing the murals of the Zonai, and then Zelda falls into the chasm and disappears. The game opens up with Zelda meeting Rauru and Sonia, and the whole thing takes place in the past. When I first started playing the game, I thought it's kind of like Zelda's doing this stuff in the past, while Link is doing this stuff in the future, or in the present time. But I guess it's prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. But I loved it. It's so much fun. I love how the game first opens up when Zelda first meets Rauru and Sonia, and she's going through a Hyrule field with them. I love how you get to play as Zelda in this. You get to see how Rauru and Sonia first use their ancient magic to first create those, I forget what they're called. The things those trials, how they use their magic to create the trials that Link goes through in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild to get hearts or stamina or whatever. You get to see how Sonia and Rauru first created those, which is really cool. And also, it's just awesome to actually fight as Zelda. I know Nintendo's tried to use Zelda as a main character in her own game with Echoes of Wisdom, but honestly, I didn't really care for that game. Like, it's cool, Zelda's like a magician in it, but at the same time, she's relying on her echoes to do fighting for her. Like, she'll create an echo of a pig or a spider or something, and they'll fight enemies for her. But with this, she actually does her fighting. The first enemy that she encounters is the Shades of Hyrule that she fights with Rauru and Sonia, which is really cool. I love to see her ability. Plus in this, Zelda has like a lightsaber that she uses light magic with, so that's her weapon. It's a light sword. It's really cool. So this game does have new enemies. The Shades are basically just these like demon ghosts that have come up from the depths of Hyrule, and they're like infecting the citizens of Hyrule, the Hylians, and it's so cool to be able to not only play as Zelda and to be able to see all these moves she can do with her lightsaber basically, but also to like play as Rauru to see how much power Rauru has with his staff, or what magic he can use with his third eye. I love it. Also, I love that you can not only explore Hyrule, but you can also go later into the story as it progresses. You can travel with like Zelda and Minoru and other Zonai into the depths to explore them. There you can find different constructs that you can beat up. There's like these little frog enemies that you can fight, which is awesome. And Minoru is like probably one of the funnest characters that you can play as, because she is awesome. Like, she'll use her abilities to create these different Zonai weapons. Like, there's a battering ram that she can make. There's this little, like, ATV thing that she can drive around to destroy these, whatever enemy you're facing. It's really cool. There's even one part later in the game where she transfers her spirit into a construct giant, and you can use that giant to go around to this little cave that it's in, just smashing up these evil constructs. I love that part. That made me laugh, and it was amazing. Plus, it's really cool throughout this game. You can use like these team-up abilities, these linking things they call it, and like the characters will just high-five, and it's so cool to see how these characters will cooperate with each other. Like with Zelda and Minoru, when they link up, Minoru creates that giant boxing robot that Link uses in Tears of the Kingdom, and that's how Zelda and Minoru work together. And with Zelda and Rauru, when they link together, they do like this whole Kamehameha thing, and they just shoot giant light beams out of their hands to attack their enemies. Or with like when Minoru and Rauru link up together, Rauru will have like these spears that he'll just throw at his enemies, and Minoru will come in and create this like giant ball thing and use it to crush the enemies. It is just so cool to see the action in this game, to see the abilities that all these different characters have, how they use these abilities to fight the enemies in the depths or on the land of Hyrule. It's really cool. Speaking about constructs, the construct character in this game is honestly probably my favorite character in this. Not only is he really fun to play as, but he just goes on the different missions and he kicks butt. Like, he can shield surf to knock through enemies. His weapon, he uses construct weapons, so they're super powerful as he's taking on different constructs or bokoblins or whatever. He is super cool. Plus, he has a little companion named Calamo. And I love Calamo. He's just this little Korok. And like, in Age of Calamity, you have to play as Hetsu. And Calamo is even better. Like, his weapons are strong and he's so tiny. It's so much fun because he can just beat the crap out of giant enemies because he's so small. And I just love seeing the way that Calamo interacts with the different people of Hyrule, like with the Gerudo or with the Rudo or the Zora, just how he goes on through Hyrule with the construct, interacting with like King Rauru. It's awesome. Calamo is funny. He's a really good fighter. What I love about Calamo is when he uses his special weapon, not only does he have a powerful sword, but for his finishing move, he can use like frozen fruit, electric fruit, bombs, or fire fruit, and he uses 3 of those. You can mix them up to use like electric fruit, bombs, fire fruit. You can use anything to take out your enemies. He has a really cool finishing move. It is really cool to see the history of Ganondorf and Zelda in the past, to see how like Zelda interacted with all the Zonai and all these different characters that lived in Hyrule, and then to see how Ganondorf himself rose to power, how he actually became the Demon King. Like with Age of Imprisonment, how in Tears of the Kingdom, Link can go through Hyrule and find these different tiers to see what Zelda went through in the past. And with Age of Imprisonment, it actually expands on that. So, that's really cool. I just love how Hyrule is created in this game, how expansive Nintendo has decided to make Hyrule, and how peaceful it is at the beginning when Zelda first shows up, and how she can attack the Gerudo and the Zora, or like the Zora will fight with her, and everything is starting to be at peace. But when Ganondorf finally takes over, and everything is like going to crap, things are turning dark, like Hyrule is burning, you're going through very depressing land of Hyrule at that point. I love how the world like changes. It's so cool how interactive the game is with how the situation turns out for the enemies and the heroes of Hyrule. I love that aspect that Nintendo turned into the world of Hyrule, how just immersive and how touching it can make a person in their feelings of Hyrule. If that makes any sense. I think it's really cool. Calamo and the Construct definitely have a really fun part in the story, but they're just not off the side doing their own thing. They kind of are. I mean, Calamo has his goal of finding somewhere nice to set down roots to grow and become a giant tree, and I guess the Construct's goal is just to save Hyrule, but I love the way that they team up with a Rauru to help save Hyrule and defeat Ganondorf, because there's parts where they'll take to the sky where it becomes like this whole Galaga thing where they'll shoot down these bats or these different space or like sky creatures, like those flying reptile bat things, the Akalda or whatever they're called. He'll take on those. There's one part where he's flying through Death Mountain, and there's like these lava tunnels that he has to avoid, and there's creatures that are shooting arrows at him. The Construct will be like shooting these missiles or these laser at them to take them out, and there's one point where there's this 3-headed creature that Calamo and the Construct are fighting at the same time, and at points the 3-headed creature will launch these like giant molten lava balls at him, and if you can time them right, the Construct will just reflect the lava ball so they'll hit the 3-headed creature instead. It's a really fun fight. Plus, there's a point where the Gleeok will show up and you can avoid its attacks, and at one point where you can just button mash to do an awesome takeout of the Gleeok. I love it. The air fights with the Construct are probably one of the best parts of Age of Imprisonment, just because they're super enjoyable. You're fighting as an amazing character as the Construct, and it's just super fun to go on the islands, soar through them, fighting these different enemies. Really entertaining. So Ganondorf, when he first becomes the Demon King, he creates these 4 Archfiends, and not all of it, they're not super hard, not super easy. The hardest one was definitely the water one. There's other ones like the Queen Gibdo, it's like Grim Gibdo, but there's also like Calgera, but just with long red hair. But there's like the water one, he was he was probably the hardest one. The fire one is the one that the construct takes out in the sky. But yeah, the Archfiends are difficult, but they're not too difficult. What makes them hard is that when you get to the last act of the game, Ganondorf will revive them, but you take them out right away. So, can't complain about that. I do love playing as each certain race in this game, like Artie in the Gerudo. She has this super cool ability as you get this stone that marks her as the hero of the Gerudo. She can use it to just create these giant lightning shocks whenever she strikes an enemy. And in Age of Calamity, Urbosa, she could like aim her sword and shoot lightning bolts at it, at different enemies, which was really cool. But I do like the power that Artie has, where she can just run up to a group of enemies and slash one, and a bunch of them end up being electrocuted. I thought it was really fun to play as the Gerudo in this, especially as Artie, because their lightning powers are freaking sick. So, Ganondorf is not the only problem in this game. Similar to Age of Calamity, how there was that wizard that's trying to revive Calamity Ganon, you do have this evil construct that Ganondorf, uses a puppet of Zelda to just corrupt, and occasionally through the game, the construct and Kalima will end up fighting it. You'll end up fighting it in the desert while Rauru and the others try to escape. There's a part where Rauru takes on the construct in Hyrule Castle, which is really cool. And there's a part, it's at the end of the game, where they're just the group, Zelda and Rauru, are sneaking into the depths to take on Ganondorf, and Kalima and the construct end up taking it on, and there's parts where you're taking it on in the ground, and then when you get to the second phase, it'll take off into the air, and it's awesome, because when you fight it in the air, not only is it really hard, but it's cool, because it's another fight in the air. It'll be shooting lasers at you, it'll be shooting missiles at you, it'll be shooting these giant balls that you can deflect at it, similar to what the Gleeok did. It's really fun. Plus, there's a part where, Minoru, she uses her spirit to guide the ship, the Wind Temple from Tears of the Kingdom, and you're the construct with Kalima, and you're just guiding the ship, and that's when you fight the King Gleeok, and you're fighting the King Gleeok while you're protecting the Wind Temple from damage. It's super fun, because you're taking on the construct, the King Gleeok, all the while the ship is under attack. There's so much going on, there's so much action going on. I just loved it. There's a part I forgot to mention too, where Kalima and the construct are flying through the depths. I just have to mention that because it's really cool to blast these pillars and everything so the construct doesn't fly into them. But it's fun just because he's flying in the depths, blasting the enemies of the depths. That's another part I was really fun with, the flying levels. All the flying levels are fun. What's great is that once Zelda and Rauru and the others get into the depths, they fight off these hordes of enemies, and Ganondorf creates these 7 copies of Phantom Ganondorf, and we get this Dragon Ball scene where Rauru and Zelda, they shoot the beam of lights from their hand, and on their back you see Sonia putting her hands on Rauru and Zelda, saying she's always with them. But it's that one scene from, it feels exactly like that one scene from Dragon Ball Z after Goku dies and Gohan, he uses the Kamehameha on Cell to defeat him, and you have that quick ghost of Goku that they're both using the Kamehameha to defeat Cell. That's what it felt like. But it was awesome. After you defeat all the Phantom Ganondorfs, you finally take on Ganondorf, and he was actually actually really hard. I feel like he was harder than fighting Link, than when you fought him as Link in Tears of the Kingdom. He's really hard, but really fun. What's sad though is that when this is going on, Calamo and the Knight Construct is what they name him later in the game. They're taking on the corrupt Forbidden Construct, which is what you find out what it's called later in the game. And it's so sad because, you know, as like both Calamo and the Construct are fighting this evil construct, it's funny though because Calamo's like, hey, I know this isn't the right time to say this, but you're the best bud a person could ever ask for. I wouldn't rather be doing this with anyone else but you. Thanks for being there for me, buddy. I hope we both survive this. And as this is going on, like, the others are fighting Ganondorf down below, and at that point, like, you both get the Construct and Ganondorf down to, like, a little sliver of health. And that's when they get the cutscene where, like, Ganondorf is too strong. That's when Rauru sacrifices himself, and up above, the Construct's like, this Construct's too powerful. I'm going to sacrifice myself to beat it. And we get this amazing clash thing where it sacrifices itself. Like, we find out that a bit of the Master Sword is what's powering that Construct. The little sliver of the Master Sword shatters, and the evil Construct is destroyed. Ganondorf is like sealed by Rauru. But what's sad is that Calamo gets to the Construct. He doesn't get it in time because the Construct just falls to pieces. It's super sad. But such a noble sacrifice. So epic that they're doing these cutscenes at the exact same time, with Rauru sealing Ganondorf and the Construct sacrificing itself to destroy the evil Construct. It's super sad, but it's so epic. I loved it so much. It was a masterpiece. So basically, the game ends how, when the Tears of the Kingdom opens up, with Zelda becoming the dragon. Calamo says that this is where my bud dies. This is where I'm gonna put down roots. We're gonna be friends till the end. So, Calamo ends up just deciding that's where he's gonna be. Zelda becomes the dragon. Ganondorf is sealed by Rauru. And yeah, like ages passed, we see that Calamo becomes this giant tree. And it picks up right from there. That's where the game ends. But I love it. I love being able to fight in the depths, be able to fight on the land of Hyrule, and you can even choose to go on these certain missions where you can fight in the sky with who you want to fight as. Whether a Hylian, a Zora, one of the champions, Minoru, Zelda. It's awesome. So many different missions you can go on, so many different abilities you can get for these different characters, so many areas you can go to with these different characters that don't quite follow the story of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I thought it was an epic game. I loved it a lot. So, would I say that Age of Imprisonment is as good as Age of Calamity? Because of the time twist that Age of Calamity has, I would say Age of Calamity is better, but I really do like Age of Imprisonment. Like, I would literally play Age of Imprisonment all over again. Not saying that I wouldn't play Age of Calamity all over again, because I love them both. I just gotta say, I'll say that they're tied in how much I love them. That's what I'll say. Even though Age of Calamity might be a little better, they're both great. Anyway guys, that's what I got for you. I hope you, if you played this game, I hope you love Age of Imprisonment as much as I did. It's a really fun game. I love the Legend of Zelda games. They really did a good job with this one. Thumbs up, Nintendo. So yeah, hope you liked the video. We'll see you next time.